What's up, Dad?
What's up, Dad? What's up? What's up, Dad? What's up?
You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it.
What's up, everybody? We got another episode today of What's Up, Dad. We have a very interesting voice today with us. I'm honored to have this gentleman on the podcast, a friend that goes back a long ways, Mr. James Jenkins, owner of Riskwell Insurance down in Texas. It's a pleasure to have him on here. I'm going to go ahead and have him introduce himself, and we'll get into today's episode.
Grayson, thanks for having me, dude. This is going to be fun. Love chopping it up. Love the concept. What's up, Dad? A dad podcast. It's a nice change of pace from you and I both being in risk management, the insurance world. Seems like there's a new insurance flavored podcast just about every single week. So I'm interested to see how this conversation goes, man. I know you and I both take the role of being a dad extremely seriously. It might be the only thing that I take more seriously than being a business owner, being a man of faith and a husband. Obviously, those four things, faith, wife, kids, work. Like that's basically the entirety of my life. So
Yep. No, that's good. It's good to see. I don't know if everybody knows this. I'm assuming you do. If you're watching the podcast or listening, I guess, and you see where it gets posted from. I send out a questionnaire to everybody, and questionnaire that goes out to people. I had two people that put a lot of detail in it. James is this week. Next guy's next week. Not going to spoil that, but I appreciate it. The level of detail you put in the questionnaire that went out to you, first and foremost. And what you said there is true to what you put as well. And not everybody can say that. Especially in the world that we're in, a lot of people can be a keyboard warrior, will type a lot of stuff, or they'll say a lot of stuff, but they don't do both, right? It doesn't always come together. So I appreciate that. Makes it easy to have this podcast with you.
Man, I got to say, just up front, one of the most important things about a person is what I like to call the say-do ratio. The ratio of what someone says versus what they do. Do their words match up with their actions? If that say-do ratio, ideally it's 1-to-1, right?
Sure.
Everything that comes out of your mouth is backed up by your actions. I that's what I strive for, the say-do ratio of 1.0. Anything other than that, and we got some problems probably.
So is that your advice for the day? You were giving it early. Are we even a minute into this and we're already getting advice out of you?
Man, I don't know if that's advice so much as just a way to approach life so that you are as useful and authentic as possible with the people you come in contact with, as a dad, as a husband, as a man, as a citizen in your city. Like if your say-do ratio is 1.0, man, people know exactly what to expect from you. And I think it just works out better for everybody.
No, that's true. That's true. I mean, how many people do you come in contact with? Again, keyboard warriors that are not the same, right? I mean, it's hard. It's that love and hate relationship because both you and I have to be on social media. I think our businesses excel because we're on social media, whether it's tweeting something, I don't even care. Just pick one, right? In any of all of what it is, the reality of it is social media is an evil necessity.
Yeah.
And
it is.
And
it's a massive time suck that you really have to put handlebars on or it will eat your life and it will take over much more of your time than it should.
Eat your life is an understatement. I was talking to my mom about that yesterday out of all people. And I was telling her it's just so frustrating to have to be on social media. I wish I could limit that time. But then also it pulls you back into it, right? And I feel good about winning and you win on it, and it feels good. So, there's that give and take relationship, but I want my kids to know that like it's there for a reason. It's got a purpose. It's a business tool. It's a life tool, for all purposes, in my opinion. So,
man, when you start talking about that kind of activity, like what do your kids see you doing? And when you're interacting with that device in your hand, when your kids see you interacting with that device, what are you teaching your kids just from where your eyes are looking? when you get home from the office, do you have the phone in your hand?
Mm.
Are you tapping on your watch? I've got an Apple Watch. I don't know if you do,
No.
but no. Are you fully present when you get home? And that's something that I have struggled with over the years. In the last few weeks, last few months, I've been a lot better about it. But one of the reasons why I am better about it, and you can ask my wife, when I get home, the phone goes on the charging dock, the watch goes on the charging dock, and I am as fully present as possible. Because the last thing I want is for my kids to be seeing me on my phone instead of being fully present with them and locked in. Because I know lots of people have said this, but kids spell love two ways. They spell it Play and Time.
Mm-hmm.
And we've all heard the Time one, but Play is just as important, especially when you've got littles like you and I both do.
Of course.
So if you're locked into your phone, or you're taking that call at the dinner table, that just rubs me the wrong way. The older I get, the older my kids get, the less time they have left at my house, under my roof, the less time I have to pour into them face to face every single day. That just gets even more important. Put your phone down.
Guys, we are in the 6 minutes, and James is just bringing the heat with some of this stuff.
Hey,
but
man, I got to be real. I'm talking to myself as much as any listener of this podcast. Put the phone down.
Yeah. No,
be with your kids. Be fully present.
I tell my small group that I lead with church and other things, I tell people a lot, right? My kids would rather have, and I would rather have, 30 minutes of undivided attention, phone down, no interruptions, whatever they want, like within reason, obviously, to be doing, than an hour of broken time, 2 hours of broken time. In our,
absolutely.
It's kind of like going to prayer. I mean, if you're praying, but you're thinking about something else and you're doing something else while you're trying to, what good, I mean, we can all say it's good, right? But what good is it really if you're not devoted to it? And your kids notice that. Like, as a parent, I have a rule that I break a lot, but I don't break. Like, I keep it as much as I don't break it. I would rather sit outside of my car to finish a phone call, put everything away, to walk in, to greet my wife first, then my kids, and be 100% dad, father, best friend, whatever title is going on at that point in time. I would rather be 100% that at that given time than to walk in on the phone, not give my wife a lick of attention, not give my kids a lick of attention, the dog, anybody that might be over, and just look like a buffoon. Because I really feel like I lost every sense of sentiment of I don't even know what you would call it. You just lose it. You lose whatever's there, the credibility, the everything. So,
man, I gotta say, when you do that successfully, the rewards are so deep. They are so deep, because there is nothing like opening that door from the garage and hearing a squeal from a 2.5-year-old who runs over and just like linebacker tackles my leg. It was like, "Daddy, you're home." Like, there is nothing in the world that feels as good as that feels.
No, it's true. It's true.
So,
and you don't get that same feeling when you're on the phone, when you're texting, when
you
you're emailing, when you're thinking about something else. Now, obviously, and I'm sure you, James, like, you get home and you obviously have other things on your mind. I mean, there's business that's always running. There's the next podcast. There's the next deal. There's the next whatever that's occurring, right? So the thing about it is we have to be able to train, as much as we train ourselves to turn it on and work and be focused on it, we have to train ourselves to turn it off. And you might think to yourself, we win these little battles on a daily basis by starting small amounts of time. Guys, I'm not telling you, and James is not telling you to come home at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and to be 100% shut off until 8 o'clock the next morning. You didn't hear him say that. You heard him. He has a very dedicated process, and it started with one simple action that led to another action that created more time, more energy, more effort. And now he leads to better results. I mean, his business is booming. His family, you look like you're flourishing. You got all this good stuff going on. You look happy, right? Like you ain't got the dad bags under your eyes, right? Like you're confident in your statements there, and that takes time and effort.
I tell you, you look at me in 2017, 2018. My son was born in March of 2017, daughter in August of 19. It was definitely not the case back then. The dad bags, as you call them, were definitely present. Postpartum depression was a thing. I didn't even know guys ever got postpartum until I got postpartum. It wrecked me for the first 6 months of my son being here. It stole my joy, and it was a big, nasty, hairy problem. So, for anybody out there, I think that's one of the things that I wanted to make sure I was really transparent about in this conversation is, if you are a new dad, and maybe you are sitting here listening to this podcast, or maybe you're not in the middle of postpartum anymore, but you, through, hearing me say that, hey, male postpartum depression is absolutely a thing because you're grieving the life that you had with your spouse, the freedom that you had from before you had kids, because that freedom's gone forever, my friend.
Bro, that's deep.
It is not coming back.
Oh, that's deep. Oh my gosh. This guy is getting in some good stuff here.
But I'm just saying, man, like recognizing and rationalizing, hey, I don't have a connection with this child yet. Because when they're in that, what I like to call the blob phase, the first 6 months of their life, they're basically a blob.
Or a sack
they can't sit up on their own. They're not mobile. Sack of potatoes. There you go. Once they hit that 6 month mark, plus or minus, then it's like, oh, I'm going to smile when I see you, and I might laugh at something you do, and we can interact and start to have, like human connection. Before that, I mean, dad's mostly a glorified accessory. Baby doesn't really need anything from dad. So that first 6 months, man, that is real hard if you're not ready for it, because it'll wreck your life.
Well,
and
to me,
the life you had before is gone. It ain't coming back.
To me, it's not even the first 6 months. It's the first 10 months, 9 to 10 months of pregnancy, right? Like you have slowly become irrelevant.
Yep.
And you don't realize it yet, right? Yep. And it's hard because we're selfish. We're made to be selfish, right? Like we're all selfish in some capacity, especially if you haven't had a kid yet. So I would explicitly be talking about kid number 1. I got 3, and it happens in phases with 2. And if you have a 3rd and 4th, there's things about it, right? But
oh yeah. Kid number 1 was it.
Yeah.
Like my daughter, it was a normal emotional response. I was 100% dialed in from the first day of her life. Completely different feeling and experience there.
Yeah.
But I mean, to your point, let's be honest, guys. We are emotionally fragile creatures who need affirmation and need to feel important.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be very important for about a year and a half. Let's be honest.
I look at it with my son, just being the most recent one. The only time I feel important now because he's 8 months old, but about 6 months, right? Until we started spoon feeding him, giving him I had nothing for him. He didn't like getting a diaper changed. So every time I would be in charge as a dad, like dad's mostly, when you're home, you change diapers because you want to help out.
Yep.
You want to feel like you're
on diaper duty, man. It's what you do.
I mean, I was talking to a dad the other day, not only am I diaper duty, but I wonder how many dads are not only on diaper duty, but bedtime duty. Do you have that in your household? Like, does your wife just completely say, see ya?
Bedtime is my time, and I own that. I put both kids to bed every single night that I'm home. That is dad time.
Yeah.
We play and giggle and do Legos and read books. Like, man, that's a sweet time. Yeah. One of the really, really big shifts was when I decided hard stop, 0 appointments Monday through Friday after 5, really after 4. I don't take any appointments of any kind. I don't go to after hours events, happy hours, mixers, whatever. I do not do anything after 5 because whatever it is less important to me than being with my kids.
Sure.
I don't I used to do, real estate investor stuff. We're really big into working with real estate investors, as you are too, in your office, I know. But there's so much stuff after hours, a mixer, there's seminar stuff. You can have speaking engagements. And I get invited on a pretty regular basis to come speak at such and such, gathering of people. And I'm always saying, no, I'm good for this chapter of life. Probably for the next 2 or 3 years, it's going to be the same. Once Emmy, our daughter, is 5, and she's in kindergarten, it's like, okay, we're in the next chapter now. At that point, our son will be in third grade and our daughter will be in kindergarten. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
we can start opening up the schedule a little bit at that point. But for the first 5 years, man, before they start going to school, you don't get that time back, because after they start going to school, they've got homework in the evenings, and they're not little anymore. It's different once they start going to school. So that decision to do an absolute hard stop with no exceptions. I say that now 2 or 3 times a year, I might do something if it's a big event that I need to be a part of for whatever reason. But outside of that, absolutely nothing happens after hours on the weekdays.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a home office like you do, I'm assuming you do, right? Reality, you're working, but reality, like I make it a point to, drop my daughter off at school, and the next year I'll drop both of my daughters off at school, and I pick them up, and I come home, and I'm home from about 4:15 on every single day. And I thought that was going to be extremely difficult to do, to make that transition and to make that happen. But I've learned to like absolutely love being home, so that when they're done with their whatever homework is going on, whatever naps are being taken and finishing up, and then before dinner time, like I get to, if I'm not walking upstairs from the basement or walking in from I'm here, right? Like I can come in and I can be be there, and they understand that. And back to the thing, about not being on your phone with kids and stuff like that. I mean, we all fell victim to it, right? Like it's going to happen. It happens. And sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. You have these hard stop no's, but sometimes it's like beyond that point and your kid catches you on the phone, right? I've learned to make it apparent, like, hey, daddy is doing business right now that is extremely important for you. Let's talk about it. Because I want you to know why I'm on this phone call, why I did that, what that was about. I want you to understand that this wasn't daddy just shooting the you-know-what with somebody. This wasn't me having a good time. This was daddy putting a fire out. This was daddy doing daddy duty stuff that you don't understand. And as long as we're transparent about that, kids become very open and understanding, and they don't give you that hard time about it. I feel like from my 6-year-old, her level of frustration with that has extremely reduced. As my time on it has reduced, her level of frustration has reduced. And now I get the question of, hey, Dad, did you get that taken care of? Hey, Dad, did you do what you needed to do? Right? Like I get those, like, how was your school today? Questions for my daughter. And it's awesome. It's awesome because they feel it, so.
Love it, man.
Yeah. So different stuff. All right. Well, we always have a question of the day, and my goodness, I had different things, different thoughts of what I wanted the question of the day to be for you, James. It is, it was a lot, right? Like I went through a bunch of them to figure it out, and I'm not going to spoil the others. So we're just going to go with what this question is and thoughts around it, because you and I have a very similar background in insurance and business. Now beyond that, it's different, right? But insurance and business, where we started, and farmers and where we come from. The question of the day is, what do you think about the statement? Oh crap. I had this from who it was. Hold on. I didn't pull that up. Who said that? I'll find it. That's okay. That's the best part about this podcast is it's uncut, and I'll figure it out while we're going. When a door closes, a window opens, or another door opens. What do you think about that? Dad life, work life, business life, love life, you name it.
I think it's completely different in those different contexts, those 4 different contexts that you just laid out. And I'll put work at the last one, because I feel like that is of the 4 things that we've talked about. And the 5th thing, obviously, social life, having a circle of friends and, local colleagues. I've said it before, I don't have a hobby. Work and my kids is my hobby. I don't really have time for, a casual pastime in this chapter of life. So I need to acknowledge the existence of that 5th column of, social relationships, that aren't work and family that do exist, but it's definitely in fifth place. There's no doubt about that. When we talk about the four roles and start with the most important one of faith, of the way that I see the world, the way that I interact in a spiritual sense, I 100% could not agree more with that statement. And part of that comes from living in an evangelical Christian worldview and believing that what the Bible says is objectively true, not just in a, oh, this is what I believe, but like really believe. Like when feet hit pavement, are you actually believing that, or you just say you believe something from the comfort of your own couch, reading early in the morning before, as Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. Do you still believe what you say you believe when you get punched in the mouth? Because that, I think, is when you find out, do you actually believe that, or do you just say you believe that? Mm-hmm. Now, the whole, when a door closes, a window opens, yeah, I think it could be a window. It could be another door. It could be a crack in a wall that you have to pick up a sledgehammer and bust open a wall and make your own door. Now, in a spiritual sense, he's either God or he's not.
Sure.
He's either in control or he's not. And one of my favorite quotes from C.S. Lewis, absolutely favorite quotes. And if you don't consider yourself a Christian or someone who accepts the evangelical biblical worldview, cool. Well, maybe this is an opportunity for you to hear a rational exposition of why someone thinks that way. One of my absolute favorite C.S. Lewis quotes. He said, if the truths of the Bible and of Christianity are true, then they deserve and demand absolute importance. And if the truths of the Bible, if the statements of the Bible and of the Christian faith are not true, if they're not accurate, then they are of no importance whatsoever. The only thing that they can't be is moderately important.
Yep.
They're either absolutely build your life on this importance, or they're a lie, they're a scam. You should run the other direction and just get away from it entirely. And I think from a worldview perspective, too many men build up these made-up rules for themselves. They live inside a prison of their own creation where they are choosing to do things or choosing to not do things based on made-up rules, where they're not living the abundant life that God talks about, that Jesus talks about in John 10, where he says, I've come that you might have life and have it more abundantly, and goes on to talk about exactly what that life is supposed to look like.
Yep.
These people are not living the Christian life to its fullest, so they have no joy, they have no satisfaction, no fulfillment, because they're mediocre or just piss poor Christians, honestly. They're just not doing what they're supposed to be doing as a Christian. But they say they're Christians, so they're not living it up to like the world wants to. They're not going out and getting drunk and high and going to the party and sleeping around and indulging in what the world says is all the pleasures that the world offers. So they're in this middle ground, this terrible, awful, mediocre middle ground where they have no satisfaction as a Christian, but they also don't have any satisfaction that the world is chasing. So I just think that from the position of a man, as a husband, as a father, as a leader, we really need to be mindful of, what do we believe? What do we really believe with what we say we believe? And whatever you say you believe, let's just be about it. If it's going to be something that you just phone in, I mean, stop playing around with this whole, whatever your worldview is, and just go indulge in whatever the world says. Should I be, going out and chasing my own dreams and, building my own kingdom so I can, do 80 years of whatever I want and then die and assume room temperature and become food for worms? If that's all it is, all right, cool. Let's do it. Let's live it up. Now, I don't know. I'm chasing a rabbit there a little bit, but I think that's probably the most important thing is, whatever you say you're about, just be about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's recognizing it too. We oftentimes are 1 foot in, 1 foot out in things that are going on. Back to the beginning conversation of being a dad and things that we talked about thus far. If you're 100% there, you're 100% there. Don't be 90, 95, because that 5% is what's going to melt you away and eventually become 90%.
It'll kill you.
And it is. And you're never going to have the true abundance that God has called to be able to give to us if you're not fully invested in it, if you're not fully doing it, right? You have to live, eat, and breathe and be in it. And it starts with that, all our decisions and everything. And that's why I thoroughly appreciate, again, guys, this is what James put on his questionnaire, right? Like he's obviously typed it and now he's saying it and I've seen him live it, right? And that's the reality of it. Like, if you're not able to do that, you need to step back and take a look. Step back and take a look at that from a top down, reprioritize what you have going on because it's a level of priority. I mean, there's a reason I didn't ask him to go over his Christian walk and faith first. He chose that because that's what it is to him. That's the most important thing. So,
yeah. Let's not get it twisted, man. That is what life is all about. Because when I stand in front of my Creator someday, He's not going to ask me about gross written premium.
Not a chance.
0%.
I do have a question for him, though. I just don't understand why babies can tell if you're sitting down or standing up when you're holding them. I mean, I don't know about you, but did your kids?
Bro.
What is up with that? What's the paradox there?
It's some wizardry going on there. I'm not sure what kind of sixth sense, but yeah, absolutely. It's the weirdest thing.
My son at 8 months old, I struggle sometimes. I'm like, man, I could be leaning up against something. And he's like, you're not standing, Dad. You're not standing. Just stand up.
No, here's the question. When you're doing the shimmy, the back and forth, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a side to side or is it front to back or is it that little figure eight thing?
Oh, is it?
Because I'm a figure eight guy. Like when I was doing the rocking, it would be this little figure eight thing where you just kind of, you feel yourself going when you're trying to get that kid to sleep.
I'm a side to side kind of guy. I'm a side to side.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely a side to side guy. I would say it'd be different per when it's happening, but the reality of it is I'm side to side, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody has a default. We all go back to our programming.
Man. Oh, that's deep, guys. Oh, gosh. That's funny.
Sorry. So you said the door closes, a window opens. I think in the sense of the next relationship of those four, the husband relationship, one of the things that I've taken to heart, one of my mentors a few years ago said that, every man, if you're doing the right thing, you're going to be living out the 4 Ps of husbanding. And that is you are a pastor, a pursuer, a protector, and a provider. Each one of them individually, but then all 4 collectively. So if you're being good at the husband role, you're going to be all 4 of those things. You're going to be pastoring your wife and shepherding her from a spiritual sense, but also, pastoring her emotional health and her mental well-being and being that wall of solidarity that she can depend on from an emotional, mental perspective. But then you're also providing that safety and security of, again, providing emotional safety and providing that confidence, and also materially. My wife is a professional mom. She doesn't work outside the home. I don't say she's a stay-at-home mom. She's a professional mom because what she does is at least as hard, if not harder, than anything I'll ever do in my career. But that protector, and next is obviously it's more than just, I know where the gun is if someone comes into my house. It's not going to end well for them. But, physical protection, but also, putting the walls around your marriage. Like, I'm not going to be one-on-one in private with any other adult female. I'm just not. I won't do it. I'm totally fine traveling or like having lunch with someone one-on-one, but one-on-one in private with an adult female, I'm just not going to do it for a variety of reasons. But just protecting what you've got with your wife. And then, lastly, pursuing, which it's a lot of fun, obviously. The never stop dating mantra. Never stop dating. Yeah. The moment you stop dating your wife, I think you've got a real problem.
Yep.
So, too often as men, when we catch the prize, when we get the yes, when we get the I do, we take our foot off the gas pedal a little bit. Life happens and happy pounds come on and all the stresses of just managing a home. And then kids come along and everything is different, and work stress and home stress, and maybe you stop pursuing. That pursuit is the glue that holds so many things together.
Yeah.
Because it's not just a sexual thing. It is every level of pursuit, emotional, intellectual pursuit. Studying your bride. What is she about? How does she tick? That should never cease. because they know when we stop pursuing. It's like, oh, he caught me. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Other things have his attention now.
Yeah.
That sucks.
It creates
That's
a
not cool.
division. It creates an unwanted, unnecessary division. And gosh, it's such a difficult thing for men to grasp. In the same sense, like if this were a woman talk show, right? What's up, Mom? Maybe coming soon.
There's plenty of those.
Yeah, there's plenty of those. However, if there was that, it goes the other way too. I don't want everybody to think that it's not the 4 Ps for men, providing and all that stuff. There's things that women do too. The reality of it is we have to be able to recognize and be constantly pursuing. Pursuing is the hardest thing in a relationship, especially tying this back into having kids. Oh my goodness. Like it's like finding time to pursue your wife. And most people think it has to be some form of monetary pursuit, buying flowers, taking them out to dinner, vacations, trips, clothing, boom, 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 all that stuff, right? But the reality of it is, as James has continued to allude, there is so much more involved that we have to be doing, or we should be doing. No, we have to. We have to be invested in our relationships, and pursuing is so deep, emotionally, mentally, finding out what they need, because their stages of life, especially as you have kids, are going to change. I don't want to say much more dramatically, but in so many more ways than we will ever be able to develop, right? Having a baby, right? Like, let's just be honest with ourselves. That whole thing of that emotional cycle of nightmare in some capacity, the 9-10 months of carrying, 9-10 months afterwards, 12 months if you're breastfeeding or beyond, right? And that attachment of like my wife says, she's touched, I don't know, somebody's on her 4 hours a day, you know what I mean? Or how many ever, when the baby's a baby, right? Like, we have to be able to connect with them in ways they need it, right? And it's pursuing is
the pursuit. I think we overcomplicate things as men, as we tend to do. Pursuit can be something as simple as knowing what she needs because you've studied her and you understand the flow of her day. Mm-hmm. And it can be a text message. Hey, love you. Hope you're having a good day. Yep. Thinking about you.
Yep.
It could be something as simple as, I noticed that my wife left her phone on the kitchen counter. I know she's going to plug that thing in. Hey, I'll go plug it in for her. I'm just going to grab that phone and take it to our bedroom and plug that thing in. It's something incredibly, incredibly simple. Yep. But she's going to say, oh, he noticed and he took care of me. Even something as simple as plugging my phone in for me.
Yep.
Does that go a long way? No. But a whole bunch of little tiny actions add up to, the pursuit that we're talking about.
100%. And that's why studying the female figure, the wife in your life, makes it so important. That also leads to something else I think this can lend into, and this is without even going and finishing the kids and the work and the social life, right?
We can just skip to the end, whatever your next thing
was. No. This actually makes a great segue into it. Most people do not realize the impact that we have on our kids' future in perspective of how they see you as a dad and as a husband and or parent. So you constantly pursuing and doing the little things for mom is going to ingrain it in your son to know that he should be doing those things, right?
Yep.
It's the simple thing of opening a door for somebody, saying hi to the greeter at Walmart or whatever grocery store you have at your local place, and you say hi to them because you're doing the right thing, and it's good to have people smile around you, right?
Yep.
Plugging mom's phone in, right? Taking the extra step. That's twofolded. You got a son, you're teaching them how to be a man, right? And how to be a husband, a father. You got a daughter, you're teaching them what they better find in a husband and a man and a father.
Well, and it's so cool because Charlie he just turned 5 a week ago. And we have had a lot of these conversations of, well, that's not fair. Emmy doesn't have to, or Emmy did that. I didn't do that. And I've had, 4 or 5 of these actual, hey, look at me. eyes. And just having those moments with him was like, you are held to a higher standard. I'm not going to talk to Emmy about those. You're older than Emmy by 2.5 years. You're her older brother. I expect more from you. You are responsible for looking out for your little sister and making sure that she's safe, that she's healthy, that she's cared for. Now, it's not your only, you're not the only ones responsible for that. Your mom and I are also predominantly responsible. We're responsible for you too. But hey, bud, you're on a different level than she is. You have privileges that she doesn't have, and I expect more from you. But just to see that look on his face when he's processing through when Dad says, you and Emmy are in different buckets, my man. I'm not treating you the same. And yes, I do expect more from you. And yes, I do have higher standards for you. You are older and you are her brother. And this is what I expect from you. But just like helping him build out this framework of this is what an older brother is. And as he's older, obviously, when he's 10 years old and she's 7, we're going to have, the next evolution of that conversation, as he's a preteen and starting to develop his own definition of what a man looks like. Because the world's going to tell him, a man is, someone who, rides a motorcycle and drinks beer and goes to the gym and, wears expensive clothes or has a great job and makes lots of money and can chase whatever tail he wants. That definition that the world is going to put in front of him, like he and I are going to have a dialogue, an ongoing over the course of years dialogue of, hey, what the world tells you is a man, that's a lie. That is not the metric for establishing legitimate manhood. This is what a man does. Going back to those same 4 things, it doesn't have to be a husband and wife. This is any good man is going to be pastoring, pursuing, protecting, and providing the people in his circle.
Yep.
It's not just, it can be a single 22-year-old who's got a circle of friends, maybe a recent college graduate. Now, the same 4 is going to apply to that person in a different context, obviously. Sure. And then we get into the current stuff, and I'm not going to touch on gender roles and, the whole fluidity, the gender confusion, just for you, whatever you want to call it. I do subscribe to the belief that men and women, biological male and biological female, are fundamentally different in every conceivable way possible, literally down to the genetic code in every cell of our body and how we express personality in all the different facets, the complexities of personality. Now, it's not to take away from any intrinsic value of the feminine mystique, the individual, but there's certain things that men are created to do and to be. It's not to say that a woman can't protect or pursue or provide or pastor. She absolutely can, but in a different capacity, in a secondary capacity to what the man is responsible for. Yeah. And I think when that masculinity is expressed in a healthy way, it benefits the family, it benefits the community, it benefits society as a whole, because all of those things are positive intrinsically for the family unit as well as for society as a whole and for the human race.
Sure. No, you're true. You're speaking a lot of truth right there. And unfortunately, I know we don't want to get into it, and we won't. There's too much propaganda out there that's selling us otherwise. And, we have too many people that get their daily news and daily uplifting from some tweets and some Facebook news
let's
feeds.
Be real, man. We don't have to go all the way into the current state of affairs with the gender identity and sexual orientation thing. You go back 40 or 50 years, and where did this start? It started with passivity. In the evangelical Christian, heterosexual head of household was passive and lazy and obfuscated their duties for child rearing and was too busy with work and got home and sat on the couch and drank a beer and read a newspaper and just passed over their duty as the leader of their household.
Yep.
And they stopped being fully engaged men like they should have been. And 2 generations later, we have the wussification, the passivity of what a quote unquote man looks like now. You go back 2 generations. Where did it start? It started with the head of household being passive and not demonstrating firsthand to these kids who are being raised. Gen X was being raised by the baby boomers. The 50s were so incredibly successful. And here we are 2 generations later. I know that's an incredibly loaded subject we can't possibly unpack in this podcast, but you want to talk about the explosion of gender identity and these other issues of what is a man.
Yep.
You know, the whole concept of non-binary as an expression of gender, just like, how did we even get here where this is even a thing? Because I mean, you look back and historically, you know, a gender identity hasn't ever really been a thing. There's sexual orientation has been a thing. You go back and I mean, look at historical text,
Sure.
Bible and otherwise, and see that, you know, a quote unquote gay man or a lesbian female has been around for thousands of years. That's not a new thing.
Exactly.
But this whole concept of, you know, gender fluidity or non-binary expression and all of those things that I think our kids are going to have to encounter and figure out, you know, how do we live in relationship with this concept, with this practice that is now becoming more normalized. You know, I know that's a rabbit trail, but I think we have to acknowledge that started with passivity from the head of household.
It did. And it's unfortunately we see all that stuff, the culmination of those things, and most people they don't want to say that, you know, they don't want to give that the credit behind it. You know, they want to give credit to other places and non-factual aspects that have occurred, right? And it's really, really hard. But if we are all taking on our roles and how we can change the future, we have to be focused on our kids, parenting in a proper way, having the proper conversations, not letting our schools dictate what they think and read and see and all that stuff, limiting social media reach, you know, and so that they are not, you know, just getting shoved down their throats, all this stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, we chose not to send our kids. I don't know. We send our kids to private school, or my daughter to private school, and we'll send our other one to private Christian school. And our biggest reason is because the school that we're a school district for, we were told that they are introducing different kinds of books at kindergarten to them, talking about, you know, gender and, you know, family dynamics and stuff like that. At the kindergarten age, my daughter still plays with Barbies, bro.
Yeah.
They
don't have the emotional or intellectual development to even begin to have that conversation.
On top of it, I don't know that teacher from anywhere. I don't know where you go to church. I don't know what your beliefs are. I won't have time. You don't have time to give that to me to find out about you. For when she asked that hard question of why little Johnny wants to be little Susie, or whatever you want to talk about, just interject anything that is questionable in the market. They're going to sit down and they're going to ask you because you're the one that just gave it to them. Dad has no idea what you're reading at school in some capacity. You know what I mean? So
Allison Redhart.
So it's just difficult and it's hard. We made that decision, and you know, it's been fruitful for our kids. I've learned like we got to invest in our kids' future, and their faith is number one to us. You know, and that's why we put them into a private Christian school and whatnot, and we'll do that as long as we can. You know what I mean? So,
So we're going about 43 minutes now, and I know you had some things you wanted to talk about. I'm going to try my best to not give you 5-minute rambling answers to whatever your last couple of questions are.
That's okay. No, in all reality, that's what I had. I wanted to open up. I like opening up big questions that we can talk about a lot of different things about. You know, last week, if you listened to it, it was about traveling and the male responsibilities and funness of going through airports and taking car rides and all that good stuff. This is different. This is a deeper conversation. I hope people find value in this and different stuff because, you know, I'm bringing, you know, people on here that have all this good stuff that they're giving. You guys have gotten a plethora amount of advice from James today. I hope that you do know the one takeaway from it is there are doors that do open. And sometimes I'm going to leave you with this doozy. Sometimes the door that opens is the door that was closed. Sit on that and be careful with it. And understand that if you are God-led, Christ-led, God's going to lead you into the door in the location that you need to be going into. Doesn't matter what door it is, where it's at. You could have closed the door for reasons that you didn't even know and open that door back up in the future, right? And I'm a big believer. of a burnt bridge is never going to be able to be rebuilt. So understand that. That's just not happening, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
Not just an opinion, right? Like, you can't rebuild a burnt down bridge. If you break one, maybe you can rebuild it, but those relationships, once they're burnt, they're gone, and it'll never be back to where it was. But James, do you have any last advice or anything you want to go give to these people? I know you've given a ton today, so we can try to end this here in a reasonable time.
I love that we didn't talk about work much at all. That's fantastic. I think sometimes I talk about work too much. I think from an entrepreneurial perspective, somebody needs to hear me say this. The whole door closing, window opening thing. Sometimes you just got to pick up the sledgehammer and make your own door. Sometimes God and the universe, if you don't believe in the Christian God, sometimes you are simply faced with the responsibility of creating your own opportunity, of being bold, of stepping out and practicing grit and practicing mental toughness and taking a calculated risk and going after what you want. The last thing I'll say, the last piece of advice, the world owes you absolutely nothing. Your circle of friends, your parents, nobody owes you anything. What you decide you want out of life, make something about it. Go out and make it happen, because the regrets that I have are the ones where I didn't take action. I can honestly say at 38 years old, I've been a business owner for 9 years, been a dad for 5, been a husband for 11. Every single one of these actual regrets that I have are from inaction, from fear, from passivity, from steps that weren't taken. Because every single mistake that I've ever made has helped me grow as a person. I have learned from every mistake that I've made. I forget who it was that said it, but if you're not making any mistakes, if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough.
Oh, yeah.
Fear of failure is going to steal more from your life, from your joy, than any actual failure you will ever experience.
Yeah.
And I think I'll just leave it at that. Whatever it is that you're thinking about doing, do it. Whatever step you're dreaming about maybe someday doing, do it.
Yeah.
That line from the movie, I forget which one of those teen movies it was, when the guy's just like, do it. Like, that's it. Whatever that thing is, do it.
Yeah.
Even if you fail, doesn't matter. Do it.
I remember when I started my first farmer's agency, 21 or 20, I was thinking about it. And it started when I was like 20, going into 21, right there. And my dad told me at the time, he goes, today's the time to fail. What do you have the rest of your life to think about, right? You literally have the rest of your life. And whether you're 29 when you first started your agency, if I can calculate that right, 38, 20, somewhere around there, right? Or 20 or 30 or 50, it doesn't matter. The reality of it is, I mean, James is right. You cannot let fear be the debilitating factor on any chances you take in life. We oftentimes, fear is the leader as to why we don't. It's not because we couldn't or we can't. Guys, I'm going to give a plug here because he has given a ton of good stuff. James oftentimes talks about on his Agency Freedom podcast. There is some really, really good episodes. If you are in the insurance space, I'm going to give this a plug here. You got to go listen to his podcast that he has, Agency Freedom Podcast. It is phenomenal. He talks about a lot of these things on there, specifically insurance related, and it's super cool. Talks about the fear of opening up an independent agency and being captive, right? And, I've learned from my mistakes. My mistake wasn't opening an independent or a captive agency. It was not opening an independent agency fast enough. But that put me where I'm at today.
Make sure you check out episode 18, though. I was looking up my list of episodes. It was like, which one were you? Oh, you were episode 18.
That's funny.
It dropped on September 3rd of 2021. So if you want to hear my man Grayson Thompson on talking about running hard down the right path, go listen to episode 18 of the Agency Freedom Podcast.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, buddy. If you need anything from me, obviously reach out. I appreciate it. We're always talking. So thank you for being on here, guys. If you haven't, check out his podcast. Check out what he's doing in Texas. They got some cool stuff going on. This guy to follow on social media and off of it. Have a conversation with James. He's full of knowledge, full of really cool stuff, and hopefully can push you to be a better dad, better father, whatever it might be, because that's what we're trying to be. So. Don't forget, subscribe on whatever platform you're on. I always forget how to end these things, but definitely make it happen, and check us out on the next episode when we got that one too. All right. Thanks, James.
Y'all take care.
What's up, Dad? Hey, Dad. What's up?